All right, everybody. Well, hello and welcome to the Frantic Talks podcast, episode 17. I am your host, Frantic, and I'm here, as always, with my awesome co-host.
Grunt.
And we are here to talk about, I bet you know what this is, video
Oh,
games and
and
junk.
junk.
And junk, that is the key phrase there. So we went on an hour early here, if those of you are joining us live have noticed. We are definitely earlier than normal. I have plans going on at the time we would normally end the podcast, so we had to jump on early. But there's nothing wrong with that. So let's start off with the best question of the day. How was your week, Grunt?
It was very good, actually. I spent most of it playing the Division, a little bit of Destiny thrown in here and there.
Okay,
Um, I do have some updated thoughts from the Division last week, so I'll run by them quickly.
sounds good. I mean, just run by them right now if you want.
Well, that's what I was going to do.
Yeah, okay. I thought you were saying like later. I was like, no, just do it now.
Um, I still think it's a fun game. I enjoy it a lot.
Mm,
There's a little. I have a feeling that I think I mentioned this last week. It alienates players a little too much from playing with each other when you have some that are a higher level. Like
yes.
most of my friends now, and I'm not complaining about the way they play the game, just to clarify. A lot of the friends I used to play the game with back in the first week it came out, they power leveled up to level 30 and wanted to grind for end game gear and that stuff. I find that's fine. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it makes it difficult playing with lower level players or playing with higher level players even.
Mm-hmm.
Because like when you do hard modes of missions, it scales it to a fair balance between the highest level and lowest level, but it definitely favors going towards the higher level.
Right.
So, and when you do things like the dark zone, you're put into player brackets for whatever level you are. Like just last night, I leveled up to rank 21, so now I'm in the 21 through 24 or 25 player bracket. So if I want to play with one of the people I was playing with last night in the Dark Zone, who's a level 17, I can't do that.
Gotcha. That
Um,
that seems a little frustrating.
it is. Um, the other thing is because of that, you're pretty much playing the game by yourself. Unless you
Right.
can have your friends, help you with the lower level missions and that stuff, and that's fine. A lot of the main story missions have matchmaking. It has matchmaking for anything you want to do in the game,
Mm-hmm.
but um, I had it happen to where I match made or I started a mission and then used the quick matchmake feature to find some people to help me because it was like a level higher than I was. So first of all, bad mistake doing trying to do a mission that's one level higher than you are. That's not going to end well.
I can't imagine it would.
But it didn't find anyone, so I was there going through that by myself, and I gave up on it because it was boring.
Hmm.
But playing it by yourself is more so, it goes like most games. It's more fun with friends, obviously, but it's such a grind and boring grind by yourself to level up from 17 to 18 and all that.
Oh, I believe it.
But those are my two biggest complaints with the game right now. Otherwise, it's been fun.
Okay. I do have a little bit to comment on in that terms. So first, to talk about my week, I hung out a lot with my friends who play a lot on the PlayStation, and they've been spending a lot of time playing the Division. So I was kind of asking them about it after I saw the review you talked about from IGN, where IGN gave it like a 6.7, I believe it was, out of
Yeah.
10, and that made a lot of people upset, or a lot of people were just like, "Oh, I get it." Basically, what my friends were able to say was, "Yeah, I definitely see it getting that score."
Oh
And
yeah.
it was basically my really good friend Corky. I don't know if I've mentioned him on here before. He and I have been, we go way back. He got the division like the day after it came out, or I want to say, and then another one of my friends, he also got it like the day after it came out. Now they're about a group of 6 people that play online. Now luckily in the division you only need 4 for a fire team or whatever it is, but that was basically those 4 that weren't the 2 I just mentioned. So the 2 who got it the day after couldn't play with the other 4 because they were higher level than them, and it was
Right.
scaling it. And Corky was telling me that he was like, "It's so stupid and annoying. I can't play with my friends until I get to max level." And I was like, "I guess I get that. That does seem kind of annoying." So he was kind of upset about it with that. And then basically, from what I gathered, from what they were talking about, the end game is literally just the dark zone. There's really nothing else you can do.
Right. Um, they do a thing similar to Destiny's like daily story missions. They have three
Hmm.
of them that you can go by and do them on the daily difficulty, and
Hmm.
then get like special rewards and a chance at really good gear. And then they have like one of the missions is like a challenge mode. It's kind of like, oh goodness, it's one mission per day. You go through there and you're supposed to get all kinds of really good gear, but it's challenging mode. I watched someone try and play through it the other day, and it was rough for them.
Gotcha. Yeah, like I saw a little bit of gameplay. I did air quotes there. You can't see it, but gameplay essentially because we went over to a friend's house basically the night of the last podcast, and they were just showing me some of the in-game stuff and some of the like clips of things you find in the game. Like you find hidden intel that show you more information about all the breakout, and I
Oh yeah,
basically learned the whole story while I was sitting there. And I must say the story actually is really really cool and creative, for lack of a better term, I guess. I think that's
oh yeah,
honestly a good enough way to say it. I definitely like the story. I don't want to spoil anything, but that's pretty good. But from what I understand, the gameplay is where it's lacking in a sense. Not to say it's a bad game, but it's also not the best game ever.
yeah. I was curious why everyone was hating on IGN's review.
Hmm.
The night I saw people complain about it, and I went and read the review later that night, and it what they complained about in well, I wouldn't say complained. What they mentioned were cons for the game. I can agree with. So,
Okay.
and people have to remember reviews for games are mostly opinion based. So,
Yeah. Something to remember, and
yeah,
also remember that this entire podcast is opinion based, but we try to stay pretty neutral, I'd say.
yeah, we do a good job at that, I'd
Except
say.
except for the last half of this podcast is going to be our favorite characters in video games. So that'll be very, very neutral, I assume.
Oh, very neutral. Very.
Which, by the way, not to spoil anything, but we're doing a top five countdown. And why did I air quote that? It actually is a top five countdown.
Top five.
Top
Top
five of our favorite video
five.
game characters,
Whatever.
along with honorable mentions. But we'll get to that. We got to get through a couple of things before we do that. I haven't even answered how my week was besides talking and hanging out with my friends. Really, all
It
it
was that
was.
good of a week.
Honestly, it was good. I just watched a lot of TV and videos. Like I legitimately powered through 2 seasons of this TV show called Young Justice.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
First off, that's an amazing show if you haven't watched it and you like superhero stuff. It's just fantastic. Second off, it's super well written. And third, if you want to know what it is, it's basically Teen Titans but more mature, I guess is the
Oh,
best way to put it.
definitely has my interest. I was a huge fan of that show.
Yeah, the original Teen Titans. I haven't watched the new one, Teen Titans Go. I understand it's not necessarily for a more older audience. I think it's more targeted towards the younger audience, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not something I would be interested in. But
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I've honestly thought about watching it
mhm,
because I love the show, like I said, but I just
yeah, yeah. So Young Justice has actually a lot of, well, not a lot. It has a couple of the characters that show up in Teen Titans.
mhm.
Robin's one of the main characters. In the second season, you get Beast Boy. There's no Raven or Starfire, but Cyborg is an adult in the Justice League. So three of the original like five characters are in the show at some point in time, but not in the way you would imagine. The only one that you would imagine and probably figure out is Robin. He's
Right.
pretty simple, but the show is pretty great, and it's I haven't found an episode that I haven't liked. Like I heard this. So you ever you know who Kevin Smith is?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so whoever, if you don't know who he is, but if you're listening, Kevin Smith, if you ever saw Jay and Silent Bob, he's Silent Bob. He's also a really big comic book dude, and he's actually getting to direct an episode of the Flash TV show. It's episode 21 of this season. But anyways, I was listening to his podcast called Fat Man on Batman because he's a large guy and he likes Batman, and that's the joke. I was listening to him talk about that, and he was mentioning how he was talking about the TV land where you go into TV and the production's crazy, the writers have all kinds of control and all this stuff. And he was mentioning how there's the rule of seven, where if you make 21 episodes, seven are great, seven are okay, and seven are just meh. So you tend to have like 7 bad episodes because you just only have so much time to record. So I'm sitting there thinking about like this show Young Justice. Like, are there 7 episodes that I hate? No, it's literally of the episodes I've watched, they were either amazing or just good. Or uh, in terms of Rob Lowe's character in Parks and Rec, they were either great or phenomenally great. Which I've also been watching a lot of Parks and Rec. Like I said, I just watched TV all this week. I didn't play a single video game besides Smash Brothers with my friends when they came over. So it was a very video gameless week, but that's okay because Parks and Rec and Young Justice are amazing. And if you have time to watch both of them, they are on Netflix and they're great.
Definitely should give Young Justice a try now
Mhm.
that you've told me about it.
It's a really good superhero show, and they integrate the Justice League with them really well. Like it's
Hmm.
not just like a like maybe in some case some people would think it's basically there's a little Justice League, they're just going to be sent out by the Justice League, and they're going to be like, you guys just do dumb stuff. No, they end up being pretty integrated, and it's just really cool. So
Hmm.
I'd recommend it to give it a watch. It's got a really high rating on IMDb too. It's like 8 point something, like 8.7 I think, which
Oh
is
wow,
pretty good
that's
for IMDb.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, speaking of other junk, I'm gonna go on a quick rant again here about one of my favorite shows, Arrow. So, I think it was about 3 weeks ago they aired an episode that was going to be like a cliffhanger that wasn't going to have another episode return until this following week. And if you remember me going on this rant, it was basically I was really upset because the logic behind one of the characters' motivations makes literally no sense. Um, to give you a quick rundown, there's this character Felicity who is Oliver Queen. Oliver Queen's the Green Arrow. It's his girlfriend slash fiance at this time, and I'm gonna get into spoilers if you haven't been caught up on season 4. But basically, she got paralyzed, and she was looking for a way to not be paralyzed, and they came up with this super advanced microchip because comic book science that would be able to help her walk again. And at the beginning of this episode, she's like doing like physical therapy and just can't stand on her own. And I'm like, oh, okay, they're gonna go a little more realistic than just magic chip that works. Cool, that's awesome. Well, in the previous episode, her mother was having trouble with her boyfriend because her boyfriend's a detective who was really in deep with some bad people. And he lied about it to her in order to protect her because that's the typical way you would do a thing in a comic book. If you have a dark secret, you lie about it. And then you claim to protect them. That's how it goes. Well, she convinces her mother that, he did it for a good reason. Sometimes you have to lie. And that was the message to get away from that. So it turns out that Oliver, spoiler alert, has a son, and the son's mother told him not to tell anybody. She doesn't want her kid being involved in Oliver's life. Understandable, the dude's a freaking superhero who gets in trouble if people find out who he is. So what follows is he has to tell Felicity, and she gets so upset that he would lie to him because they're never supposed to lie to each other. And by the end of the episode, she gets up out of her wheelchair and walks away without ever having any physical therapy and just basically out of sheer power. So I ranted about that. It made no sense because the previous episode she tells her mother, don't sometimes you lie, and then she's just pissed off that he lied to her in the next episode. Makes literally no fucking sense. And so I did not see this coming, but in the past 3 weeks, the Arrow subreddit and Tumblr and Twitter have gone into a civil war about this thing. Um, and to give you the motivations, the subreddit of Arrow is kind of like me. I wouldn't say on my side particularly, but they kind of agree with me on the same sense of it makes no sense. It seems like they just don't understand how to write Felicity's character. Now, and there are some who just hate it completely because Felicity is kind of a new character in terms of the comic books and the show. Well, I mean, she's
Right.
been in the show since the beginning, but in terms of comic books, she's not really been there all that much, and they've never dated before. So the fact that they're basically going to get married until this point is kind of annoying to people who want the whole stick to canon. They have that stick to canon mentality, which I don't know if I've said it before, but I disagree with that because why tell the same story over and over again? Change it up, do something new.
Yeah,
I
because
was
then
all for it. Sorry, go ahead.
if you stick to canon so much, it just gets stale and boring. You're retelling a story.
We're already on our third iteration of Spider-Man in the past 15 years, and they're going to be telling the same damn story. So I mean,
Yeah. See.
sidebar. But anyways, what I was trying to say is, I'm all for going away from canon as long as you would stay true to how the characters would act in those situations. Because as long as it's the same characters, different situations can appear, and it's fine. That's my personal opinion. I think it's great if you can roll off canon and do something completely different and make it still work. Uh, that's kind of how like the Dark Knight was. It was like Batman dark, dark, and dark brooding instead of just kind of like not so dark here and there, and it made total sense. Um,
Right.
I'll probably get hate for saying all that because The Dark Knight wasn't the first time he went dark, but whatever. Um, nonetheless, so that's where the subreddit of Arrow stands. They either hated what happened because they don't like that they're together and that her character makes no sense, or they just didn't like it because what she did made no friggin' sense. Now let's shift over onto Twitter and Tumblr, who are the ones who are arguing with the subreddit and who are pissed off at the subreddit. Stereotypically speaking, Tumblr and Twitter, well, I guess Twitter not so much. Tumblr tends to be more on the left end of politics, so feminism, equal rights, stuff like that. Nothing wrong with that, in my opinion, but they like a strong female character. And that's totally fine. I like strong female characters. That's why I liked Felicity in the beginning, because she was a quirky, nerdy girl who was really freaking smart and did all this cool stuff. Well, as season 3 progressed, she got just genuinely terrible because all she did was cry the whole time, and like I understood why she was crying, but the amount of crying was just annoying. And I shit you not, it was like every episode. It was bad, and it even made my girlfriend mad because she was just like, "I hate her." Like she didn't even like her. I was trying to defend her because in season 3, Oliver. Are you familiar with the League of Shadows or League of Assassins or whatever it is? I already forgot the name of them. Ra's al Ghul. You know who that is?
Nope.
You know? Okay. Well, basically, super secret assassins, and Oliver had to basically like almost kill his friends in order to defeat Ra's al Ghul. So she was really upset, and I'm sitting here thinking, I guess if I was in that situation, yeah, I'd probably be upset. And that was my defense of my mind in her respect. So season 4 rolls along, and she's just a bitch. Like I'm not being sexist. I truly am not. The character is just not well written. And that's the problem. Well, Tumblr sees it as a strong female character, sees her as the whole reason Green Arrow can exist, and sees her as like a big part of the show. And I'm totally fine with that. But the problem is, it's almost as if they're blindly siding with her without thinking about the logic behind all of it. It's like you just told your mother in the last episode you gotta forgive him for lying in some cases. Lying is okay. And then Oliver comes with this lie where it's like, I have a kid, I wasn't supposed to tell you, I shouldn't have told you, and now he's in trouble because I knew about him. Like that's just I'm in deep water here. And she's just like, well, you lied to me. I'm gonna walk out on you even though I'm paralyzed. Like what? And that's where the problem comes because everyone on Reddit is trying to point out this issue. Some doing it in a stupidly hostile manner, others trying to be more logical about it, and then Twitter and Tumblr taking screen caps and just like shitting all over them in terms of "fuck you, you don't like women" and stuff. And it's getting bad.
Oh
To
man.
the point where on the very top of the subreddit for Arrow is Twitter and Tumblr users, I know you're lurking, please read this. And it's like, we're trying to stay civil. And it's like this, it covers the whole screen 2 times over of just text of we need to calm down. And it's gotten bad. Um,
Man.
and I've said it before on the last time I spoke about this, but I'll say it again. Arrow turned from seasons 1 and 2 of a comic book action show where he's shooting arrows a lot and fighting villains to a superhero soap opera, and that's all it is. And I don't like that much drama. I like it if the show is supposed to be a drama like Breaking Bad or something like that. But when you throw it into an actiony comic book show that didn't need it in the first place, I just begin to wonder. And what's really weird is the fact that Flash and Legends of Tomorrow, which are the other 2 shows that are in this universe, are being written by the same guy, and those are just way better in terms of everything. It's almost as if they took Arrow and were like, man, we really need a dramatic TV show
Let's take the
from
arrow and
yeah.
use that.
It's really
Yeah.
weird, and I'm not enjoying the direction it's been taking. Like I loved season 2. Season 2 is still my favorite season. Season 3 is when it started to dip because of, like I said, the characters. There were too many characters getting put into it, along with Felicity just kind of dragging the whole thing down. And then season 4, it's been better. Don't get me wrong. There's been a lot of good points in the season, but the amount of drama has just kept going up and up and up, and to the point to where the mid-season finale, both shows, Flash and Arrow, had this episode where there was a cliffhanger, and we had to wait till this upcoming week to see what happens afterwards. Well, Flash's big cliffhanger was revealing a guy behind the mask of the villain Zoom that we've been dealing with. I'm not going to spoil it. Don't worry. They reveal who it is, and Reddit exploded like holy shit, doing all these hilarious memes and stuff. And that Flash subreddit is great to go read hilarious things and see all these theories about what's going to happen. And then the Arrow cliffhanger was Felicity can walk again, and it just pissed everybody off. So it's just so weird that how they're going in two different directions with the same writers trying to keep these universes intertwined in the same style. It just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, that that doesn't. It's really hard to believe that they are the same writer because normally that's something you would expect with different writers.
Hmm.
Even changes from season to season, you would expect like a change in writers during the off season or whatever. That
Yeah.
happened with Walking Dead in season two. Season two of The Walking Dead, the TV show, is very slow and boring.
Hmm.
Um, and then they got rid of the front runner of the show and the writer, the one like head writer or whatever for the show then, and
Yeah.
got new ones for season three, and it's been much better ever since then.
Gotcha. Also, I want to point out that AMC is stupid because we watch Better Call Saul every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. And I've never watched The Walking Dead. I've seen okay, that's not true. I saw the pilot and the episode after the pilot. I've seen the pilot twice and I love the pilot. Don't get me wrong, the pilot was amazing. And then the episode after, I just don't care. I'm not invested anymore. I don't want to watch it after that. So I have yet to watch it. But I don't need to watch it now because AMC decides that the day after their latest episode airs, they're just going to spoil everything for people watching Better Call Saul. Legitimately, we're watching Better Call Saul, and then it goes to commercial. It's like the last episode on The Walking Dead, and then it just spoils every point of that episode. It's like, man, I'm really glad I didn't. Caught that episode last night. What if I didn't catch it last night? I don't
Oh yeah.
understand.
What if you plan on watching the recorded version of it on your DVR after you were done watching Better Call Saul?
Yeah, it makes no sense to me. And the only thing I could think of, and I commented this on Reddit because I was following the Better Call Saul episode discussion because when I watch these shows, I follow the episode discussions to see what people say in the moment. And the only thing that occurred to me, I was just like, it looks like AMC is so hyped about their show that they're gonna just spoil it for you instead of letting your friends do it. Like when you see a episode of a show and you really want to go talk to somebody about it because you're so excited. That's exactly what AMC is doing with their own show. It's like, man,
Yeah.
we made such a sweet episode. We need to tell everybody. It's like, or you could just let them tell everybody on themselves and not spoil it on TV. I don't understand why they do that. It makes no sense.
Who knows? Who knows?
So I don't need to watch The Walking Dead because I know who all is dead or alive at this point because it tells me. So, that helps.
Yeah. It's like going to social media, Twitter, Facebook, places like that,
Hmm.
during the show and not expecting
It,
it to
it,
get spoiled.
it's not on the level of Star Wars spoilers where people were just PMing them to people for no reason whatsoever. But it's still on that. Yeah, I don't understand that. Like if you had a top comment on Reddit in the week of Star Wars and you hadn't seen Star Wars, you could guarantee you were going to get PM spoilers, which is the worst thing you could ever do. Like for anything for that matter, big movie releases. Why? I don't get the logic. Are you just a terrible human being? Ugh.
Slightly.
Okay, so we spent so much time on junk this episode. Let's get into the meat of what we normally talk about, which is actually video games.
Wait, we talk about
I could
those
talk for
too?
the whole podcast about Arrow and all these superhero stuff. I will say that this coming Friday is Batman versus Superman. So next podcast I will have seen it and probably have an opinion on it. My initial thoughts are it's not going to be very good, so my bar is set super low. Based on the 11 minutes of the movie we have seen, someone put together all the trailers, by the way, and figured out that they've revealed 11 minutes of the movie to us.
Oh, wow,
That's a lot.
that's when you look at the whole, you know, length of the movie. It's probably going to be about an hour and a half movie. It's not that
Hmm.
long of a time compared to the entire movie, but just for trailers, that's a long time.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And then last note, the Civil War trailer released, and they showed Spider-Man, and it seems pretty cool. He looks awesome.
Oh, that's the new Captain America movie, right?
Yep,
Civil
it's
War.
coming out in May, I think. Sounds about right. Like the
It's coming
beginning
out
of May.
sometime.
And then they released X-Men Apocalypse, the one that I haven't actually watched yet, but apparently it looks pretty good. Anyways, moving on, we're going to talk about what's been on the screen for the past 25 minutes that we have yet to talk about, and that is the This Week at Bungie update.
Ooh,
Um, it's a good one because they finally have revealed some amount of information about the update that we're supposed to be
a little bit.
getting.
A little bit.
in terms of more content. So the picture on the screen looks like we might be able to get some sort of armor or shader that makes us look like Taken.
I'm saying shader.
Probably a shader, because that looks like the Kingslayer helmet from uh what's his name? The House of Wolves boss. What's his name?
Skolas.
Skolas. Yeah, it looks like the helmet you get from that, but with the shader. So odds are it's just a shader, but that's still a pretty sweet shader. Anyways, it's update 2.2.0 will be released April 12th, so a little less than a month away, like 3 or 4 weeks, I think, is where it maps out to. And
Yeah, about 3 weeks.
yep, and they said they're going to call it the April update. That's what's going to be known as right now, and that's what they're going to refer to it as. So if you see the words April update, that's what that means. And it will have new PvE challenges, new and updated gear, a new quest featuring the Blighted Chalice Strike. Which one is that?
Uh, I'm assuming it's maybe a new strike because I this is the first I've ever heard of it.
Could be a PlayStation exclusive one.
Better not be.
Increased max light and rewards, so 320 will now no longer be your max light. Interesting.
Means I can finally hit 320.
Yeah, exactly. We got into an argument with somebody. I was like, man, we could probably hit max level. It'll be after the level's been capped, but been increased, but you know.
That's exactly what happened when um, House of Wolves came out. In between that time, Dark Below and House of Wolves came out.
Hmm.
I didn't hit 32 because I needed all kinds of materials and whatnot.
Hmm.
Which after Dark Below came out, that was the new level cap. House of Wolves increased it to 34. So by the time House of Wolves came out, like 2-3 months later, that's when I finally hit 32. Level cap
So,
was raised by 2 levels, but hey, finally hit level 32. So
yep. Oh man, I'm excited to hit 320 light. Oh, that means my 320 Crimson Ghost better, or my Chocolate Ghost. Oh, more on that later. Not really, but you know. Um, they'll have Sandbox and Crucible updates, and then it just says and more dot dot dot. So, bunch of updates. Hopefully, the Crucible updates include banning the Icebreaker from 3v3 modes.
I don't
Here's
know. A lot of
hoping.
it'd be nice, yeah. A lot of people are speculating though. Let's start the rumor mill on games. That's a smart thing to do. That it's going to introduce custom games for Destiny. So
Well, with the term sandbox, you gotta wonder what that means.
yeah, personally, I don't think so. I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon. Um,
Well, I'm gonna feed
but
your speculation at the end of this post,
uh,
because I'm gonna feed that. I like that idea, but I don't know if it'll happen or not. But we'll get there. I'm gonna tell you that. But the update will be free if you have the Taken King, and they have previews of all the stuff. So mark your calendar. It's basically every Wednesday until it's released at this point. March 23rd, which is this coming Wednesday, at 11 a.m. Pacific. So they're all at 11 a.m. Pacific. So 2 Eastern, 1 Central, 12 Mountain, 11 a.m. Pacific. We got the first one, which is March 23rd. It'll be New Things to Do, is what they're titling it. So that'll probably be like the PvE challenges and maybe something related to the strike that they mentioned.
yeah, probably showing off whatever new content that they are
Hmm.
putting in,
Try to set
whatnot.
like the baseline of what's all going to be coming.
Right,
And then March 30th, a week later, Wednesday at the same time, New Things to Earn. So that'll be like the more rewards, probably how high the light level will be, I would imagine. And
right.
that pretty self-explanatory. And then April 6th, which will be the Wednesday before it is released, you'll get Sandbox and Crucible updates, which is exactly what it sounds like. And then
Pretty
they
much.
said there'll be other stuff outside of Twitch, but that'll be when they reveal some stuff on stream. So if you got time on those days to sit down and watch that and check out some of the new stuff that's coming out, I would highly recommend doing it. I'm
No,
sure Grunt will do it.
I definitely plan. Yep. All right, let's try that again. I definitely plan on doing that.
Yeah, I might sit down and watch it depending on how I'm feeling that day. So next up is related to Twitch again. There are a bunch of icons through Twitch, assuming you are subscribed to the Bungie channel, which they're calling you Vanguards if you do
Vanguard.
that. Yep.
The
And
cool thing about that, they don't actually take the money they get from their subscriptions. For people subscribing to their Twitch channel, they take the money and then they give it to the Bungie Foundation, which is their charity, basically.
oh, nice.
And that charity of theirs supports local children's hospitals, local Make a Wish foundations. It's kind of cool to see them doing that.
Yeah, definitely. That's It shows that they
Bungie,
care more about the community and what they're giving than just making money and selling a game.
right? And from my mindset, that's absolutely amazing.
Hmm. That's very, very good. So you can see them on screen right now. There are 4 by 5, 20 icons that you can get by subscribing it. What is it, like $5 a month or something?
Yeah, $5 a month.
Yeah. And you can get all these cool icons using the Twitch chat. Basically, to give you a rundown, if you can't see them, if you're not watching this, you're listening to it. It is there's an Iron Banner logo. There's each engram. The green, the blue, the purple, and the yellow. The exotic. Um, there's the splatter icon or splatter emblem from Halo. There
Yep.
is try.
Carnage. It's been called Carnage, the Bungie Carnage emblem in the community for years now.
Oh, look at me not knowing what I'm talking about.
I mean, no, you're right. It's from Halo. It's just that's also
That's what they've called it. Okay.
it's what they've yeah, it's what the community, us as the community. I've been on the site for almost a decade now. I'm well versed in what they're doing. Humble
Versed in the
brag.
slang.
Yes.
There's a big heart, the Trial of Osiris emblem. There's the Queen's brother or whatever,
Brother.
the Prince screaming hype. There's Cade, I think is his name, the Hunter Vanguard giving a thumbs up, and then a couple other ones I don't really recognize. But yeah.
Let's see. The one on the lower right hand part. That's Deej in his the community manager. Deej, by the way.
Hmm.
In his Bungie Community Theater ensemble, he it was a funny thing they did a while ago. They took like letters or posts that they had read on their forums, and they responded to them in a very hilarious and satirical way, basically.
Gotcha.
And it was fun to do. They only did like 2 episodes before I think they realized the community was going to take it the wrong way because salt
Yeah, that'll happen.
and and they stopped doing it. So, but
Gotcha.
it became a meme or meme, however you say it,
It's meme.
meme, whatever. Shortly after that, so
Gotcha. And then there's looks like SOON, either soon or so on or something like that. I don't know if there was a
soon.
joke to be there had there. Okay.
Content droughts for Destiny. They became very known for saying the word soon.
Oh, okay.
So much so that they jokingly added the TM for trademark logo after it. So it'd be soon trademark.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, I know what there's three in the middle of this also. There's the new classes for each. Oh, why am I blanking on what they're called?
Subclasses for each character class.
Yeah, I mean I'm trying to think of what they're actually called, but there's
Uh,
I mean
Sunbreaker,
yeah, Sunbreaker, Stormcaller, and it's
Night,
Tether. I don't actually have.
Night,
Is it Night?
Night Stalker.
Night Stalker. Okay. Yeah, for each class, there's little like pixelated versions of them that aren't. They're like more comic-y, like you would see in like a Pokemon game or something. And that's pretty much it. There's like one or two others, but for the most part, those are the icons you would get for subscribing, and you could use them
Bing
in the
bing.
Twitch chat. Oh yeah.
Yep, that's the what looks like rabbit dog's head that you see down there above the green engram.
Oh yeah. I was wondering what that was. Okay, well, we'll move on from that. Do 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 do. Clan leadership. They mentioned the Bungie bounty. You can watch that if you didn't get a chance to catch it, where they went into matchmaking, and if you beat them, you got a cool emblem. And then they also show a preview of the new clan leaderboards and what those are going to look like. I'm not very, I don't know, I'm not even in a clan, so it's not like I've ever seen what the clan stuff looks like right now. But they will be releasing that.
Non-existent.
Yeah, it's
It's
not.
basically just you go into your if you're the founder of a clan, you go into your clan settings and you enable it so it can show up in game,
Hmm.
and then you just have people join. That's all it is.
Gotcha. Okay. So they're going to be able to show you like Nightfall stats, Crucible, looks like Prison of Elders, Raid, probably Trials of Osiris, and other stuff like that.
Oh
And
yeah.
it just shows you like specific stats to each of those game modes. Like quickest or longest time played, is that what that says?
Longest single life. That's on there twice. Longest kill spree.
So
Uh,
yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, I think
yeah,
you get the idea. So that'll be
just
coming, I assume, with the April update. Yeah, I
yeah,
just read that part.
yeah, because they changed their forms already to a specific amount of people.
Hmm.
Um, they now have a dark theme on there too,
Oh, cool.
so it looks pretty cool. It also functions better on like a mobile device. So
Speaking of mobile devices, the very next bit's the update to the Destiny Vault on
ha,
the app on your phone, which basically allows you, instead of having to transfer your gear to the vault and then transfer it to another character, you can transfer it straight to another character. The only thing to note is if your character is full on stuff, it will just transfer to the vault if you try to transfer it to your character and there's no room. That's pretty much
yeah.
all it says there. So that's cool. I think that was really sweet. I actually used that feature last time I played before they'd really announced it, and I was like, man, that's kind of cool. So good stuff there. And then we get on to the movies of the week, and this is where I want to mention the potential for a custom game because the 12 Swords movie of the week is pretty funny. I thought it was in a custom game, excuse me, and then I realized it wasn't. Basically, it looks like they got 12 people to go into a game mode. I think it's when you have to capture A, B, and C. What is that? The control or whatever.
Control. Yeah,
They
it'd
go
be
into
control.
control, and then they all have swords. They wait for heavy ammo to spawn, and then they just start. Essentially, what I watched was them playing dodgeball with swords, but they add music to it and make a little like montage of them all throwing their swords out into the water, and then they all turn on their Titan hammers and chuck them, and it's pretty
Oh
funny.
my
But
god.
what I saw was sword dodgeball, and it made me. And then when you mentioned potential of custom games, I was like, well, maybe they picked this movie of the week for foreshadowing, and that's where the speculation comes in that we all know and love.
Speculation. Oh, it's a cruel thing at times.
And then the other two movies, there's Destiny Dating, which is basically like a 1980s dating video, but the dude doing it just cuts his mouth into the mouth of each different. Uh, what are their names? Like, they're not heroes. They're freaking. What are they? Vanguards or
Guardians.
Guardians? Why couldn't I think of that? Man, I'm really bad. No, he cuts his mouth into like the mouth area of each Guardian and changes his voice and says funny stuff. It was alright. I didn't really. I thought it was cute. And then there's one more where this dude just gets like he gets 4 kills in a row doing sun charges in a game of Rift. So
Oh, good lord.
yeah, it's pretty funny. And then he's like talking during it. Like at the end, he was like, "Holy fuck!" and like, "Man, that was crazy." So I
I
didn't
should
warn you about
really
the
watch
language.
those.
Yeah, they're all really they're really short. It took me like total in time is like 5 minutes, but language warning, obviously, even though I've said like the F word like 6 times already today. Whoops.
Eh.
Try to lean back on that. So yeah, and that's pretty much everything from this update. Uh, so we're gonna move on to two quick little notes before we, actually three notes before we hop into the top five I had mentioned. So um, we got this one was interesting. I saw this on the front page of Polygon when I was looking at for some stories that I may have missed, and it's pretty simple. But basically, Machinima, the YouTube channel that I've always thought was the scum of the earth because they made 14-year-old kids sign contracts and make videos for them and take a profit off of them. But they they basically got in trouble for paying their people that they had on their staff, like basically the person I just described. They
Content
paid
creators is what they're
that. Yeah,
called.
I don't know why I can't think of words today. I'm like you on Twitter yesterday. You couldn't words at all, or whatever it was that you said.
Oh, good god. It was terrible.
But anyways, it came out that they were paying their content creators back in 2013 to hype up the Xbox One. Now this was not at all Xbox One's creators. Microsoft were not at all at fault for this. This was just straight Machinima doing that. I couldn't tell you the reason why. It doesn't really say, but they were found paying upwards of nearly $30,000 to say complimentary things about the Xbox One, which is pretty
Wow.
pretty gross. And
Sign me up for
yeah,
that.
right. Like, why don't I just get 30 grand to sit here and say, man, the Xbox One's gonna be cool. Um,
Good god.
makes you wonder if professional streaming could be a good job. But yeah, so they got in trouble for that. They were found guilty, and they don't have to like pay any money or anything for it. They basically were just told if you're gonna pay people to say things, then you need to disclaim it. And in the eyes of people who support the Gamergate movement, this should this should be a victory in a sense, um, because that's what Gamergate's all about. It's like people would pay to have good reviews, and that was their biggest thing. Like Kotaku was the one that they hated for it. So
Ethics in game journalism.
yeah, it's all about ethics and game journalism, but there's also the intense amount of sexism that was brought out of it, and that is ugly and something I'm not going to continue to talk about. But yeah, for the most part, ethics in journalism is what it should be focused on. Let's just put it that way. And
Should be.
you should also worry about that as well. You should make sure that someone is, if you're reading an article, you got to wonder the motivations behind it. But luckily, when you read our articles, you don't have to worry about that because we don't get paid to do this. So we will just give you straight up information and news.
Information, news. This is what we think.
Yeah, exactly.
Opinion stuff. Just don't ask me to do anything about music.
Right. You couldn't see me. I was making a funny face. I forgot that you can't see me while we record. I forget that. I do physical responses and faces and I nod while you're talking, but then I remember, oh yeah, I should probably go, uh-huh, so he hears that I'm actually listening to him.
I mean, for the first time last week, I sat down and actually watched our podcast. It was the first time I ever did that.
Hmm.
I'm here. Why do I want to do that again? I kind of know what happened. Um, you have to do it. You go through and edit it, so you get to go back and
Hmm.
listen to it again. I'm like, I know what happened. Oh, he's going to talk about this game, and this is going to be my response.
Hmm.
But I went and watched last week's episode, and I actually got to see what you do because I can't see it here.
It's like a rare occurrence.
It was.
Oh man. But anyways, Machinima, they're scummy, and this just proves they're even scummier than we thought. If you never thought that, now you think that. Hopefully they'll learn from this. Odds are they won't, and we'll
I mean, they could have
continue this.
just they could have just went and man,
It's just
that's
so
tricky.
it's so dirty. Like, why they weren't even getting paid by Microsoft to do this? That's the funny part. They were just doing it. Like, what were you trying to do? Get more content creators on the Xbox One because that's where your market was, and you were just like, man, the PS4 looks pretty good. Here's 30 grand. Say something nice about the Xbox One. The Xbox One's
Right.
cool. And then it comes out. They were told to say that because the Xbox One isn't cool. Like, I don't understand the motivation. So
Uh,
yeah, that's
I
really
don't
funny.
know. I'm glad
Anyway,
that's their problem and not mine.
yeah. And last point, I got two last points here. I don't have a screen for it, so we're just gonna leave up this Polygon screen real quick. But uh, the Halo 5 World Championship Series is going on right now. It started yesterday and is going on till Sunday. I do not have any stats on it in terms of who is winning, who's losing, or what. So I'm sorry, but
People are losing, people are winning. There you go.
I can guarantee that much. And I wasn't paid to say that.
How? How?
It's gonna be like a new joke. Wasn't paid to say it. uh, so that's going on right now. I'm sure if you go to twitch.tv/Halo, you will probably find some sort of information on that going on right now. And I believe the ESPN esports page will have information on it as well. I think they're covering that too.
It should be.
Yeah, $2.5 million. They should probably be covering that.
Oh yeah.
And then last but not least, Xbox PC cross-platform gaming with Rocket League. All that probably made sense at one point, but basically, you can. Is it happening or it is already released? Is it like in the future or what? I don't actually
Uh,
remember.
from what I read of it, it sounds like it's coming. They're working on it. It's going to take a little while.
Hmm.
But basically, Microsoft for the Xbox One is willing to let cross-platform network play happen, and Rocket League is pretty much the first game that it'll probably happen, where you can play Rocket League with someone who has the game for their PC on your Xbox One. So you can play like perfect example. I have it for the Xbox One right now, and you, Frantic, have it for the PC.
Yep.
Providing I'm understanding it correctly, the way it would work is I would be able to play it with you on the PC.
If it is anything like it is now, which you can already do PlayStation 4 and PC, you only can play with them in a matchmaking sense, and you can't even make a party. You can just matchmake with people who are playing on PC. You can't like have a custom game of a
Mm-hmm.
PC player and an Xbox player. If it's like it is now, if they're going to advance it to the point of where we could do that, awesome. But right now, it's just matchmaking, so I would assume it's going to carry over like that.
Right. And I guess that'd be okay, but they need to advance that a little more because
Well, I'm sure they will. but this
Yeah.
is a big stepping stone,
Oh
like
yeah.
huge. And even what you had said, from what I understand, this will be able to be happening with other games in the future. And Sony has come out and said that they would be fine with Xbox One and PlayStation 4 cross-platforming as well.
Right. Right.
Which,
The paraphrased wording of it was for PR response was Sony is more than willing to work with publishers and developers to make this a reality, something like that. But
in other words,
maybe
Xbox needs to be cooperative too, and they aren't happy, but they'll do it.
right.
We
They
need a
kind of got
translator.
pressured into even saying that initially, I believe, because uh, this first came out and Microsoft said they'd even be willing to work with other developers to do other consoles and that stuff. So
Hmm.
it's going to be up to the developers and publishers whether or not they even want to do it.
Yeah,
Um, so a lot of it's going to be on their end, but it could be interesting.
you gotta wonder if 5 years from now that's going to be becoming the standard, and then when they release the next gen consoles, it's going to be like, yeah, they're all connected, and if you make a game that isn't connected, people will hate you. I wonder if that'll be this reality in 5 years. Like, I see it being that at least,
It'd
because
be
that'll
it'd
be 5 years
be
from now. We got an 8-year-old Xbox One and an 8-year-old PlayStation 4, so
right.
it could be
It'd
interesting.
be it'd be cool to see. Actually, I kind of want to see that reality.
Yeah, because like I really want to play the games that I have with my friends on PlayStation 4, but the only game I have on Xbox One that they have is Halo 5, and then I don't have any of the PlayStation 4 the games they have, so it's like, I want to play them on both consoles, and I want to buy two copies. So,
Right. If you do that, then you totally have to get rid of the idea for console exclusives too, to some extent. I mean, you could still have them, so where you're forced to, if you want to play like Uncharted,
hmm,
you have to buy the PlayStation 5. If you want to play Halo 10, you have to buy the Xbox 2.
Halo 10. God, that's. I hope that's not a real thing.
I hope, I hope not either.
At that point, it's just like,
Yeah.
why? Like, will Master Chief be dead by then? Because then we'll have to have like a new character. I
I
don't want to
mean,
think about that. I want to think about the top 5 characters in video games.
oh,
What a segue. So,
it
anyways,
was.
not to take away from that discussion, it's a very interesting discussion. I hope in 5 years the standard is to have cross-platforming gaming in some sense, and to hopefully slowly whittle down the console wars. But console wars are good for marketing, so I don't know how much of that they will want to integrate it. So we'll see what
Right.
happens. Um, but for the most part, uh, we're gonna move on now. We're gonna move on to something I had an idea for not too long ago. I mentioned it to Grunt and said, "Hey, every now and then we always struggle to find stuff to talk about in a podcast. Not in the sense of where we can't fill the 60 to 70 minutes that we normally do, but we tend to be like, man, we need to find something, and then we kind of just talk and talk and talk about stuff. Like the first 20 minutes of this episode, I was talking about Arrow. Like that
And
took up a
junk.
lot of time. Yeah, and chunk, that's what the end chunk is for. It's a special time. But we're gonna try and do these every now and then when we have a lower amount of information for a weekly news podcast, essentially. And definitely want to hear your opinions on, like who we pick for these things, what we pick, and also topics that we could talk about. But the first one we're gonna do is our top 5 favorite characters from video games. Now, this is not a top 5 best character ever list, so don't take that the wrong way. This is a purely opinion based uh, list of characters that we truly love from video games that we have played. I will definitely let you. I'm definitely going to say that it's going to be primarily Xbox games because I definitely never really did the Nintendo thing besides Pokemon. So you will not be seeing a Mario or Zelda character or anything like that on this list from me. And I know the list of grunts because we went over it beforehand, so you're not going to see it from him either. So if you're hoping for that, I'm sorry, but we're going to go ahead and jump into honorable mentions. These were characters that basically barely made the cut, or they just missed the cut, or they were on the list originally, and then we had to take them out just because we were like, man, someone better fits that position. Um, I wanted my top 5 to not be from the same genre, or not genre, same game. So like, I didn't want to have two Halo characters in the top 5 or something similar.
Right.
So
And
you'll
that's
notice,
exactly how I went about it with
yeah,
mine too.
yeah. And the funny thing is when Grunt was texting me, he was like, man, this is really hard to come up with a list. I said, I'm gonna read the text. It was really funny. I basically just said, man, I feel like it's not that hard. Here, let me give you a list. And the list was number 5, Gunnery Sergeant Buck. Number 4, Miranda Keys. Number 3, Sergeant Johnson. Number 2, the Arbiter. And number 1, Master Chief. That wasn't hard. Because, Halo. He's like,
Oh,
man, I've been thinking about this all wrong. But
I believe the exact wording was clearly I'm overthinking this way too
yeah,
much.
I literally had the text open in my hand and didn't read that part like I should have. All right, well, I'm clearly overthinking this, is what you said. So, anyways, I'm gonna jump into my honorable mentions. I actually had four of them because I think three of them were on the original list, and then I took them out for some better people. Um, so first up, we're gonna go with Tiny Tina from Borderlands. Now, this is a character I quite enjoy for many reasons. She's very random, hilarious, and funny enough, reminds me a lot of my girlfriend. Um, because she just says really funny stuff and does really like hilarious things. I think one of her quotes is like, "I'm a punch you butt" and stuff like that. She's just over the top hilarious. Um, who are the two robots that she introduced you to right when you meet her?
Oh,
Because they're really
um,
really hilarious names.
oh, God, I can't remember. It's been so long since I played Borderlands 2.
Gotcha. Well, either way, um, Tiny Tina. The girl who voices her name is Ash. She has a YouTube channel she has a YouTube series called Ash What You Play, and she does some really funny stuff there. And she also voiced, oh, who was it? It was in like a recent movie. She voiced someone that was a really big name, and I can't remember. But anyways, her voice actor does a lot of really cool stuff, and definitely check out some of her work. But Tiny Tina was one of my big ones that I was like, I kind of want to put her on here, but at the same time, there are other characters. One that was on my original list, which is the next one, was Handsome Jack. He was on my original list because of how hilarious I found him and how funny he is in the pre-sequel. Like, he's a big player in the pre-sequel, and I really enjoyed.
Huge.
Oh yeah, and I really enjoy playing as clone because of the conversations you'll have with Handsome Jack. Or what your clone says to him, it's just really funny. He's just like,
Oh yeah.
man, like I'm really handsome or something, and I laugh every time, even when it's the same line I've heard over and over again.
That's the great thing about the Borderlands series, though, is it's still fun to go back and play and listen to all that dialogue, and it's like, wow, I've heard that line about a million times, and it's still hilarious.
Hmm. And the thing about Handsome Jack is just that, like, well, not even Handsome Jack, just Borderlands in general, is that there's so many memorable characters that it's really hard to pick. As you'll come to
Oh yeah.
find out, that I picked two in my honorable mentions, and there's some more coming. Let's just put it that way. All right, so next up is not a character I had on my top five, but it was a very funny character. If I remember correctly who the next one is. I could be wrong on who the next one is. Yeah, it's Wheatley. Okay. I have it set to where I can't see who's coming up next. I just hit Control Tab and it works. Um, but Wheatley was another one. He was really funny when I played Portal 2. I'm sure, as you can remember, he's the final boss at the end. Spoiler, even though the game's been out for like 6 years or 7 years now. It's not been that much. It's been 5 years, but still. He's really funny. Trying to think of some of his quotes, but I feel really bad about not remembering all of his quotes. Uh, but he guides you to GLaDOS in the beginning and is like she like beats the crap out of him right when she gets reactivated. And he's just kind of like a pansy and really scared, but by the end of the game, basically takes over GLaDOS's old body, and it's like, oh well, this kind of sucks. Mad with power, and then you shoot him into space, and he's really stuck in space forever. Luckily, he doesn't need oxygen.
I
Uh,
mean, robots don't need oxygen now,
you're right, they don't.
or AI cores, whatever they're called in the Borderlands, the Portal series.
I actually don't know that. I'm not too versed in the Borderlands lore besides Ratman or whatever it is, the hidden Easter egg character where you can find like some of his places where he hid, and he's just kind of like one of the crazy characters from the comic book series they released.
Right.
Um, I don't remember his actual name, but anyways, my next honorable mention is this lovely gentleman right here, the Arbiter. I think I actually have five honorable mentions to Grunt's only two, so I feel really
I
bad
actually have
about that.
three.
Oh, you have a third one now? Okay.
Yes, I do.
Um, but the Arbiter was a character that I really wanted to put on the list because he's such a badass, but I'm much more happy with the Halo character I put on my list. Um, the Arbiter is just crazy, awesome, uh, really like honorable in the sense because it really Halo 2 is my favorite game, and he was a very big vocal point of that story, and he just kind of gets the mark of shame, and then instead of dying, the prophets are just like, yeah, you're gonna become the Arbiter, which is a suicide mission anyways, and he's like, all right, fine, and then just completely overthrows the Covenant and all this stuff, and he's just the epitome of badassness.
Oh yeah.
And then my final honorable mention, which was also on my list, Good old Francis from Left 4 Dead. I just love Francis. He's my favorite line that he ever did. The No Mercy campaign. When you're in the elevator, there is a chance that he will go on this rant, and it is basically, "I hate elevators." And
I mean, who doesn't?
you hear him say a lot of stuff like, "I hate this, I hate that," and he'll go like, "I hate elevators," and then you'll hear Bill go, "Francis, you hate everything," and it just he speaks to me, hate stuff. Also, a leather jacket biker guy who probably listens to heavy metal.
Oh yeah, totally.
So now we're gonna move into Grunt's honorable mentions, and the first one I have here is Mr. Torg.
Ah yes, good old Torg. Not only is he the one of the manufacturers for weapons in the game, but he's an actual character.
That
I,
is true.
I mean, Captain Obvious over here. Wow. Um, I think the biggest reason I'd like him is probably because of the what was the name of the DLC he was featured in Borderlands 2?
Oh man, I wish I could remember. Crap, I forget.
That's definitely not it. Um, but anyways, it was that DLC that or expansion, I guess you could call it
Was it the
even.
campaign of Carnage or something like that? That sounds
That
about
could have
right.
been it. I think that. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's it.
That's
Um,
the I looked it up on my phone.
all right. Well, there you go.
Campaign of Carnage. Oh, there we go.
And it was really that expansion that made me like him so much more. It not
Hmm.
only because of his dialogue, but you know, he's just a normal character.
Normal, like.
Normal in the sense that you should buy his weapons because Malawan's weapons are 200% less awesome because they don't have explosions. Normal, but
I just remember him from it was either the pre-sequel or two where he just screams the whole time. Like when you get a vehicle, he's just like screaming at you, like "Wow!"
oh yeah,
Gotta love him.
yeah. The I think what really sold it for me though, it goes back to his dialogue. The opening sequence of the campaign of Carnage.
Hmm.
He goes on arguing with one of the other characters about how there's a vault full of weapons underneath this crater, and to unlock it, you have to, in order to unlock the vault, you have to fight your way up to the top of the leaderboard. And he goes back and forth between one of the other characters about how the vault is important. It needs to be unlocked scientifically. Just kill everything.
Hmm.
Get to the top of the leaderboard, and then after that sequence ends, you have to sign a legal waiver. Well, the terminal you need to go up to blows up, so
Hmm.
yeah, screw the legal waiver.
Yeah, I think I remember that actually.
Oh yes, I think I even recorded the opening cutscene using my capture card
Oh,
just so I
nice.
could watch it whenever I wanted to.
Just so you have it on repeat
Oh
constantly.
yes,
Nice.
yes,
All right. The next one I got for you is Gunny Sergeant Buck.
yes. He's just an overall awesome character. A lot of, and you'll find this a lot in my list going from now on. A lot of my choices were based on the voice acting.
Hmm.
Something I really didn't pay attention to, back when I first started playing games, but recently, these people really put emotion and themselves into their characters when they're doing their voiceovers. So it's kind of cool. Uh,
And
Buck,
yeah, Nathan Fillion definitely put himself into Buck.
oh yeah, he's just he's the kind of person you kind of wish you were if you were a soldier getting thrown out of a ship hovering in low orbit over a planet.
Hmm.
So
I love his I love the idea, not the idea, but the Halo Reach when you could have gotten his voice for Firefight, the text next to him that said if he was any better he'd be a Spartan, and then Halo
and
5
look,
he's now a Spartan, so he got better apparently.
he did.
So yeah, everybody loves Nathan Fillion. If you don't, you're some weird person who shouldn't say that you don't love Nathan Fillion. But yeah, he's a pretty cool dude, and they pretty much put his exact face on Buck because Buck already resembled him so much in the earlier games. They might have modeled him after it, but yeah. So
Yeah.
Gunner Sergeant Buck, and then you said you had one more, which I'm gonna pull up here as you search.
It is GLaDOS
GLaDOS, nice. Okay.
from Portal.
Apparently my typing is not working. Oh no.
Well,
Let's try that again. GLaDOS. There we go. Images of GLaDOS. Hey, look, it's GLaDOS. Cool.
The one, I, it's the evil character. You know, they make you think it's the evil character in the game, but yet
Mm.
GLaDOS is just,
It's a robot slave in a sense, if you think
yeah,
about it. Kind
yeah,
of sad.
yeah, and
Obligatory cake is the lie.
it is.
Or a lie, not the lie. I'm stupid.
It's a lie. Cake is a lie. It always is.
Yeah,
Um,
always.
and I think it's in Portal 2 when Wheatley gets to take over the facility. Spoiler alert, by the way. Um, she gets put into a potato.
Yep,
Yeah,
which is pretty funny.
yep, it is. It's led to a lot of memorable moments for me during while playing that game. Walking around with your portal gun and all there's a potato on top of it, and the potato is talking smack to you.
Hmm.
So I think that's probably my reason why she gets an honorable mention. Also,
Yeah.
I don't want to be thrown into a pit of fire or anything. So
I wonder what you mean. I don't hate you. So, those are our honorable mentions, and now we're going to get into our top five. And how this is going to work is I'm going to name mine, give a little explanation. Grant will name his. We'll go back and forth till we're down to number one. We'll name those, and then we'll be done. So, here's hoping that your favorite character of the games that we have played is on this list. If not, let us know. You can tweet at us who your favorite characters are. Pretty cool. You can also tweet at us suggestions for other top fives that we can do. We have a couple that we're probably going to do at some point, but this is the first one, and hopefully this goes well. So, all right, let's jump into this. Start with my number five. My number five is going to throw everybody off because of how much they know that I don't like this series, and that is Mr. Richtofen from the Call of Duty Zombies storyline. To give you information on this, I did play a lot of Zombies back when it first came out. I didn't play it nearly as much as some of my friends, but when I found out about the backstory to Zombies, I actually got really invested in it. Um, and Richtofen is one of the main people behind it. In a sense, he was one of the scientists who helped create the zombies in general. And on the map Duris, which is it's one of the last ones from World at War, which was like the original Zombies game. Uh,
mm,
on the map, there are a bunch of hidden radios that you can find and turn on and hear him kind of just like experimenting with these zombies and trying to control them and stuff. And he has this whole secret master plan that goes into Black Ops where they go to the moon and have to release this little girl. I think her name was Samantha, and they blow up the Earth, and it's all part of like his master plan. And he's just I don't want to say the antagonist in a sense because I'm sure a lot more story has evolved in the later games that I've yet to play. But in terms of from World at War to Black Ops, the story there, I really enjoyed just about every bit of it, and he was a big player in it. And that's made me think he's one of my favorite dudes just for the fact that he had this grand scheme to blow the Earth up by going to the moon. Just pretty
oh,
weird in general.
I mean, yeah,
But yeah, like I said, I definitely don't care much for the Call of Duty series anymore. Like I was considering putting on Captain Price or Soph McTavish from the Modern Warfare series, but they just weren't memorable enough to me. Like I like them, don't get me wrong, but they just weren't the ones that I had in mind.
yeah. The only character I can remember from the series is Ghost, but that's because he lived for like 3 games when he got killed in 2 of them. So
Yeah, Ghost was pretty cool.
okay, maybe he got killed in one and lived for two. I don't know,
He was
but
alive in Modern Warfare and then died in Modern Warfare 2 because of General what's his face betraying them or whatever.
yeah,
He was an asshole. Who we
that guy
throw
sucks. By the way.
we throwing knifed him in the face. That's what matters.
Oh yeah,
All right, so Grunt, your number five is
Adept Strader from the original Mech Assault game.
which I could
Yeah,
not find an image of, so here's the box art.
yeah. Well, the thing about that, he was never actually pictured in the game except for the one mech he was in
Hmm.
that you fought towards the end of the game. So you never actually get to see him. The reason I like him, he was the first real villain I ever encountered in a game. Um,
Gotcha.
total jerk. But he was the leader of the Word of Blake cult in the game. They're the enemies you fought.
Hmm.
Uh, they were basically a overzealous cult that was focusing on the I guess you could say the research of technology and increasing it.
Hmm.
So they're like a more zealous version of the Brotherhood of Steel from Fallout 4, I would say.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Um, but he accomplished his goal of making you hate him and the enemy faction in the game.
Good storytelling then.
Yes,
Awesome.
yes. So that's why he made me hate an enemy in a game. Like I have to finish this game because I have to see him die.
That's good motivation then. Cool.
Oh yes, yes it was.
I definitely think I need to go get this game and play it because I've heard a lot of good stuff about it. It was just one of those that like went so far under the radar that it's probably really hard to find a copy.
Yeah, maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
So yeah, so you said it was Adept Strider from Mech Assault, the original,
The
and like I
original
said, we don't
Mech
have an
Assault.
image, so okay, cool.
Here,
So
have box art.
yeah, here's the box art. So my number four, a lot of people are going to be upset with me because we talk about all these characters who have rich backstories and great voice acting, and mine is a
Boo.
voiceless, storyless character who I cannot at all leave off of this list, and it is. I'm actually going to show him on screen, Mr. Game and Watch, and I have his amiibo sitting right in front of me right now on screen. Um, number nine. He rolls a nine and kills people. Let me defend my choice here for a quick brief second. I play Super Smash Brothers on the Wii U with my friends, and we do it competitively with air quotes because like we've played in tournaments every now and then, but it's not a matter of we want to be the best there ever was, like Ash Ketchum, but we just play to have fun and enjoy ourselves. And this dude is so random and hilarious that I loved playing every moment of him. Like all of his moves are just random. The Game and Watch was a system way back in the day. It was like one of the original handheld systems that he was just a character that did random stuff. And to give you an idea of everything he does, his moves consist of holding out a bucket to catch projectiles, swinging a hammer that generates a number 1 through 9, and if you hit a 9, you pretty much kill whoever you hit if you hit him. uh, who he goes really high in the air and parachutes slowly down. While he's in the air, if you press the attack button, he creates a fishbowl with fishes coming out of it, or with fish coming out of it. He flips breakfast food at you as his neutral stance button, and he just like flips it at you, and it can light you on fire because it's really hot breakfast food. It's out of a pan, by the way. He can also hit you with a blowgun, like he'll just squeeze this little like blowgun, and it'll like boop 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 boop. He will pull out a burning stick and hit you with it. He'll pull out two hammers and drop them on the ground and hit you if you're around him, or he'll put on a scuba helmet and then hit you up into the air. So he's very random, and I love every second of it. Oh, I forgot about the sea turtle. He'll pull out a sea turtle if you're attacking someone behind you in the air, or he'll pull out a credit card if you're attacking them in front of you. That's how random he is, and I love every frickin' second of it.
Oh my god.
And then if you do taunts, he'll just pull out a bell and ring it really loudly, like the Game and Watch system used to do. Or if you really want to be a dick, you can do the one where he sits on the ground and then just breathes out some air like he's relaxing. So yeah, I love every freaking thing about Game and Watch. And yeah, I didn't pull up the gray version of him. I play the gray version. I don't play the black one. I just like the gray version better. But Mr. Game and Watch is my number four for no discernible reason besides I love randomness, and that's all he is.
Forgot to
So
do that.
yeah, four. Uh, Grunt, your number four is
Eris Morn from Destiny.
the three-eyed lady who goes on rants about random things.
Yes. Very, very long rants about anything and everything about the Hive. Um, the biggest reason I chose this character is the voice actress nails the mysterious persona of Eris perfectly. So again, it's one of those characters that it's the voice acting that sold it for me. But in a game that is highly uh, picked on for being lacking a story and all of that, which I agree with. It needs more of that. Eris is one of the characters in the game that is mysterious on purpose. We know very little about her, even from the little grimoire cards that you can read on their website. It doesn't do much to explain where she's from, who she is, other than the fact that she was a guardian at one time. And, back in the Taken King story, she gets into great banter with Cade. So, like, throwing rocks on Cade's map,
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I was trying to think of what you meant. Cool.
threatening to step on Cade's head when he says he'll keep his ear to the ground for intel.
I mean, Cade's like the exact opposite of her, so I can see
Oh
that.
yeah, it
Also,
works perfectly.
Nathan Fillion again.
Uh,
So yeah, yeah, very mysterious character. I definitely like. I like her. It's just she goes on so many rants. It's ridiculous.
Also, kind of creepy.
Oh, she's very creepy. Like super creepy. She's just three eyes.
Oh
Super
yeah.
creepy. All right, so on to number three. My number three. This one's awesome. Promise. Trevor Phillips from Grand Theft Auto 5, the insane sociopath who does some of the most over the top stuff in the game, and I absolutely love it. Um, so interesting things about him. First, his voice actor, it actually looks pretty much exactly the same, just without all the crazy tattoos. They modeled him after the voice actor, and the voice actor was also on Better Call Saul in season one, and he's kind of similar in the sense of craziness. So that was pretty cool.
Oh
But
my god.
yeah, did you know he was in season one? Have you seen season one?
No, I have not.
Okay. Yeah. For those of you who have seen it, there's a scene where Mike is getting there's three dudes getting recruited. Mike is one of them to be a bodyguard for this dude, and Trevor is one of the dudes. And then there's a third dude. I don't remember who he was, but Trevor is one of those guys. And I'm pretty sure Mike just like beats the crap out of him or something. I don't remember specifically, but uh,
Oh
in the
man.
game though, he is just insane. Uh, like he like it's like someone gives him like a weird face, or something. He just beat the crap out of him, or and he what does he do? I think he like craps all over his cousin's apartment or something. He does so many crazy over the top things. He's just psychotic, but he is one of the best characters, if not the best character in that game for all the random crap he does. And some of the stuff he just randomly says is great as well. And a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of times you can switch between characters in the game. Sometimes when you switch to him, he'll be doing some hilarious crap. Like one time I switched to him and he was just holding up a guy on the dock at gunpoint when I switched to him. I'm just like, what is happening? So
Most of the
yeah.
times when I've switched to him, he's been drunk, passed out in the middle of nowhere. So,
Also that you'll sometimes switch to him and he'll wake up in his underwear in the middle of nowhere.
yep.
He's just so great.
He was on the roof of one of the buildings out in the middle of the desert one time. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I don't even know how he would have gotten up there because when I looked to try to get down, there were no ladders, there's nothing, no cars to clamber on, nothing. So
That's the mystery. He's just as
I don't even,
mysterious as Eris.
yeah, I don't even know how he got up there.
All right, so when you finish sipping that drink, what is your number three?
Well, we're gonna go back to one of your honorable mentions, and it's gonna be Tiny Tina from Borderlands 2.
Yes, Miss Tiny Tina. Again.
Again, yeah. For practically the same reasons that you mentioned her as your honorable mention, it's just a fun character overall, you know.
Hmm.
And I really enjoyed how they incorporated her as the main, pretty much the main character in the Dragon's Keep DLC for Borderlands 2.
Yeah.
Um, she's a very cruel dungeon master, so I would never want to play a game of D&D with her. I don't think.
No, I wouldn't either.
Um, but it's just it further adds to the fun that is Borderlands, and really, I think anymore, when you say Borderlands, that's what people think of as Tiny Tina,
Hmm.
and just the crazy stuff she says, like the two rockets that we were trying to think of their names earlier. I still can't remember them.
I want to say one of them's like Fluffy or something, or Big Fluffy Butt or something like that, because that sounds about
Yeah,
right.
it does really.
Yeah, and yeah, it's she's a great character. There's no denying it. And like I said, check out her voice actress if you get if you get the chance. She does a lot of cool stuff. I really wish I could remember what she voice act that was more recent than Borderlands, because she was in something really big and it was really good.
Right.
Anyways, now what you
She
said
was
is if you think about Borderlands, you probably think about Tiny Tina. It's a very good chance you do. But my number two, you also might think of. That's good old Krieg, the
mm,
psycho that you get to play as in the Borderlands 2 expansion. Um, and
I
if
know
you
someone who listens to this that's going to be very happy you mentioned that.
is he in the chat box right now?
I don't know. I don't have the chat box. It's also Grunt Dad out there too. So
Oh, Granddad. Okay.
yes.
I was about to say if you're talking about Freak Show, damn it, I mentioned his name. He's in the chat box. He was at one point. I don't know if he's still there. I think he is.
I actually
Yeah,
forgot to
he
bring up
still
chat
is.
box this week. Anyways,
Yeah, we almost forgot to mention him. Oh, but anyways, so yeah, like I said, Krieg is mine, and if you ever wondered why, Let me just read some quotes for you really quick.
Please.
Strip the flesh, salt the wound. A good start.
I might have to mute my mic here if I don't start laughing maniacally.
I have the shiniest meat bicycle. I'm the conductor of the poop train. And I forget, I wrote this one down and I forget how it all goes, but he's like, I powder my cockatiel, and it's when he's talking to the girl and he's like, tell her that she's beautiful. It's like, I powder my cockatiel, and it's so
Oh
funny.
my god.
If you want to see how good of a character he is, just search Krieg trailer on YouTube. It's like a 4 minute trailer, and it's basically just like he has a split personality, quote unquote, because he has a sane voice in his head that he just doesn't listen to. And the
Mm.
voice in his head is narrating this whole thing. He was like, "Yep, you're gonna die, and the last words out of your mouth will be poop train." And right before he says the poop train line, he goes, "Whatever you do, don't shout poop at the top of your lungs. I'm the conductor of the poop train," and it's so
That's it.
funny. So he's a hilarious character, and I'm pretty sure his perks and stuff in the game are actually really funny too. Like there's
They
one that
are.
I feel like there's one that was just like it just starts hurting you, but you deal massive amounts of damage. Like he has a lot of really fun stuff in terms of what you can do with him,
Yeah.
and I just love him to death.
Yeah. When I was playing Borderlands as my main game with Grunt Dad a couple years ago, he used Krieg as his like main character.
Hmm.
Um, and he built his character tree where you get set on fire if you do fire damage or you take fire damage,
Hmm.
but your fire damage while you're on fire is like increased by like 100% or something like that. It's a crazy absurd.
Right.
In the lower levels, it was really difficult because he would like get shot a few times, get caught on fire, and die. That's when I decided to start playing as a siren in the game. You know that self res or revive for your ability is very handy,
Hmm.
but he does crazy amounts of fire damage if built the right way.
Yeah. So awesome character to build and awesome character to listen to all that random crap he says,
Oh yes, definitely.
especially strip the flesh,
Salt the
salt the
wound.
wound. So that gets us to your number two grunt, and that is
Elizabeth from Bioshock Infinite.
the wonderful Elizabeth.
Yes, this is one of the biggest reasons why I care about characters in games. Um, the way the character was wrote, it actually felt like a person, even if she was, finding health kits that I didn't need and throwing them to me in the middle of combat. That's a different story altogether. But yeah, the game told its own story, but she also told her own story as well.
Hmm.
So it's very just overall a very interesting character to listen to and find out more about. And in the post game or post release DLCs, Burial at Sea, I think is the name of them. Um, one of them you get to play as her, and it's interesting to see her perspective on some of the things that happen in the game, just in a different setting.
Hmm.
So that's the biggest reason I like her as a character is she's got a great story behind her. It
Gotcha.
actually made me care about these random people I come across in games. Honestly,
Well,
cold
that
hearted as that sounds for
no, that's
games I've
good.
played before, but
I mean that she was so well written that you know you developed a caring sense for them.
right.
So I must say I've never actually played Bioshock Infinite. I've barely even played Bioshock One.
Oh,
So
all great games. I
I
love them.
definitely know they are. I enjoyed the little bit of Bioshock One I played, but I tried to pick it back up on my PC and it's just not working. So
Yeah.
the sound's not working. It's really weird. But anyways, that's beside the point. Hopefully you all have enjoyed our list so far. We're gonna move to our number ones now, and I don't want to spoil anything, but they're both from Halo, as you would probably have guessed. Um,
I actually never would have guessed that.
not at all. We don't talk about it every episode. So
Uh, we we never mind. We did this week. I was gonna say we didn't this week, but we did. We
I tried.
mentioned the World Championships, so
Yes, we did. I tried to get Grunt to guess mine, and he didn't guess it. So if
I
you
narrowed
have,
it.
he
I
narrowed it
narrowed it
down.
down to 3 characters and was wrong on all 3 characters.
Yep. Which is really weird because my number one is Sergeant Johnson, mainly Halo 2 Sergeant Johnson, but he's still good in the other ones. He was so awesome in Halo 2. Just all the random crap he said, and the entire first part of the game before you realize you're going to play as the Arbiter. Everything he says, I can quote word for word. Um, I know what the ladies like, and what's another one?
Back
You
in my back in my day, we had 2 sticks and a rock, and we had to share the rock. That was shortly before the whole "I know what the ladies like" quote.
That's true. There's also regret. Yeah, they regret coming to
Oh
Earth.
God,
We regret being alien bastards, and we most certainly regret that the Corps just blew up our raggedy ass fleet.
hoorah!
Dude the champ.
Haven't played that game quite a few times, have we?
No, not at all. So yeah, Sergeant Johnson, extremely memorable character. For some reason, he's not a Spartan, but he has this awesome power armor. He unfortunately ends up dying in
Oh
Halo 3 at the end, which is not at all a spoiler. It's almost a 10-year-old game. Like he dies
yeah.
at the end of Halo 3 against Guilty Spark, or it's not Guilty Spark, is it? It's the monitor for that installation, but
Mm, no, I think it might be Guilty Spark. I think it
yeah,
might be.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I think yep, yeah, that's actually it's him. No, I say that it's definitely Guilty Spark, who gets super mad that you want to blow up all the rings and turns on his Spartan laser, his inner Spartan laser, and just starts shooting you. So yeah,
Inner Spartan laser, spark laser. There you go.
Spark, yeah. So Sergeant Johnson's my pick, but you'll never guess Grunt's pick. So let's go on and move into that. Grunt, you're number one.
My number one pick. He's not quite as good as a Spartan, but he's the next best thing. He's an ODST. Goes by the name of Dutch from Halo 3 ODST. Biggest reason I like him, his dialogue he says in the middle of firefight is absolutely hilarious. He goes on long-winded rants about how kind of like Johnson's regret
Mm-hmm.
uh, lines, but it's more so complaining about the fact that the Covenant decided to attack on Earth and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
I just and overall I just like his attitude as a character. The rugged, rough, not going to give up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yet he's got enough sense to know that things are looking terrible right now, so let's not make too much fun of him.
Yeah.
So and that's why I like him. He's an awesome character.
And then you said he ended up unfortunately getting replaced by Buck, right?
Uh, well,
In a
well, I,
sense, like the ODST guy is Buck now instead of Dutch.
yeah, yeah. On my list, I actually had Buck as the ODST, but I'm like, no, I like Dutch more.
Got to go with the original.
Yeah,
I can't say I remember too much about ODST besides mainly the storyline and that the main lady had a recon helmet. I
oh
knew there
yeah.
was the straight ODST guy, but yeah. So that was our top 5 favorite characters in video games. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have anybody you think that we should have mentioned, let us know on our Twitter accounts. We're going to get advertising out of the way and get out of here. We've gone pretty far over on our time, but that's okay. Sometimes that happens. Anyways, you can find us on Twitter. There's the at Frantic Talks account that is at Frantic_Talks. That's where we tweet out about our podcasts, our articles, and anything else. You can find me at FranticJ3. You can find Grunt at Onyx ONYX Spartan. And if you can't find us there, head to Facebook and search Frantic Talks. You'll probably find us. It's facebook.com/Frantic Talks. Other than that, you can find us on the main website, frantictalks.com, along with magic.frantictalks.com, which is where we talk about Magic the Gathering. And if all else fails, you can search on the iTunes store for our podcast, Frantic Talks. That's got a space in between. And you should be able to find it there. It should be the only one where you can catch each of these episodes typically every Sunday. And if you want to catch it live, go to twitch.tv/FranticJ3 the third every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, except for today and every now and then we have to change the schedule. But typically 3 p.m. Eastern. Follow the Frantic Talks Twitter account. If we reschedule, you'll probably see a tweet every now and then. So, other than that, I hope you
So
guys have a great week. What were you gonna say?
YouTube, YouTube.
Oh yeah, YouTube. We do have a YouTube channel. I have actually not uploaded an episode in a little while, but we post this podcast to the YouTube channel, which doesn't have an official URL because we need 100 subscribers. So go ahead, get your
Go do that.
subscription. Yeah, go subscribe really quick, and then we can give you official, probably like Frantic Talks, all one word or something like that. Uh,
We weren't paid to say that either.
yeah, we weren't paid to say that. Like we never will be. That's not true. Maybe someday, but I doubt it. Anyways, yeah, that channel is where we upload the podcast and also an Emerald Nuzlocke randomizer that I am doing for Pokemon that I have had to halt just due to free time that I'm spending watching TV instead of doing episodes. I'll be honestly real with you on that one. I'll be getting more episodes out very soon though. So, anyways, you can check us out there and tweet at us if you got any questions, any suggestions. Always open to criticisms and/or concerns. So,
Discussion, just general discussion, and
even yeah, general discussion. We've had some good conversations on Twitter. So, um, you can catch us again next Saturday live, 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll be here. And I think that's about it. I hope you guys have a great week. Hope you have a great week, Grunt. But
I hope you do too.
we'll sign off here. I'm Frantic.
I'm Grunt.
We will see you next time.
Did you time it again?
Yeah.